morning and welcome to another episode of Hard Factor. It is Thursday, August 8th. Our top stories for the day. Wes is going to tell us all about politicians descending on Dayton, Ohio and El Paso, Texas.
Yes, I am. But first, let me say welcome back. It's good to have that familiar good morning sound. And I'm relieved to not have to do it anymore.
Was it hurting your throat? Because it hurts mine.
Tickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, your good mornings improved by the day. I thought they were very impressive.
I didn't even try one. I was afraid that would sound like a boy going through puberty.
But, yes, I'm going to discuss mainly President Trump and Melania descending on Dayton and El Paso to visit the victims and people there.
Yep. All right, and then Pat and I will take us through a news buffet of other headlines. Wes, take us away with another day of shooting, or in the wake of mass shooting.
Here we go. So despite much criticism, blame, and pleas from his opponents like Beto O'Rourke to not visit, President Trump did what is expected of a president in these situations and visited both Dayton, Ohio and El Paso, Texas today to meet with those affected by the terrible events that unfolded this past weekend. In both locations, he was, of course, met by protests and calls for gun reform, but also with some love. So in Dayton, Trump visited the hospital where victims were still recovering, met with first responders, law enforcement, and other people who were affected by the tragedy. And while it is not known exactly what went on inside the hospitals because press were not allowed to document the visits, instead the public relied on the tweets from the president's staff to see what went on. It did not take long for the visit to turn ugly on Twitter as President Trump blasted Senator Sherrod Brown and Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley for what he is calling a, quote, misrepresentation of what happened inside the hospitals.
I think he nailed it with Nan. I don't think he's Indian. If he was Indian, it would be Nan.
He's not a bread.
So he's going through some hospitals and he just has to sound off real quick?
Yeah.
His skin ain't that thick. He's got
a little reactive
skin.
So, so like you said, he called it what they said a misrepresentation of what happened, but he didn't stop there. Fuming at the remarks made against him, he took to Twitter where he tweeted, quote, "Just left Dayton, Ohio, where I met with the victims and families, law enforcement, medical staff, and first responders. It was a warm and wonderful visit, tremendous enthusiasm, and even love. Then I saw failed presidential candidate, 0%, Sherrod Brown and Mayor Whaley totally misrepresenting what took place inside the hospital. Their news conference after I left for El Paso was a fraud. It bore no resemblance to what took place inside with those incredible people that I was so lucky to meet with and spend time with. They were all amazing." So
couldn't let that one go, huh, Donald?
Let it go.
You gotta love how he drops that 0% polling in there. Like, it's such a classic Trump move right there. 0%, by the way. Your ratings are terrible.
I don't know why it makes me. Maybe it's because he's talking about a situation where he was visiting people who were victims of a mass shooting, but it makes me nauseous. It's weird. It just makes me
it's weird to be talking about like mourning a mass shooting and use the word fraud anywhere in the tweet besides about the shooter or whoever.
Do you think there's ever been anything in Donald's life where he said to himself, "This is bigger than me"?
I don't think he's ever been criticized and not responded.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's just like that. Yeah. We were talking about it earlier. He's just like a machine. He's a media machine.
It is unclear which remarks made by the senator and mayor upset him, but he may have seen this remark by Brown as passive aggressive, as if he was simply going through the motions. In this quote, maybe like, he didn't have any real emotion. He was just, acting basically. When Brown said, quote, "They were hurting," she said to the patients in the hospital. "Trump was comforting. He did the right things. Melania did the right things, and it's his job in part to comfort people. I'm glad he did in those hospital rooms." So, it seems like a nice statement to me. Maybe he read into it a little too much. Who knows?
That's his. That is his job. But the thing about it is, his job isn't so much about going and comforting the individuals. It's about going and making a statement on behalf of the leadership of this country that, hey, we hear you, we understand. We're going to do something about it.
His job is to get some legislation through that's going to make a difference. So he better do it.
But I think that's what sucks is he's making it specifically about
Well, but this is just him on the campaign trail. He has been firing off on everybody today or on Wednesday. So he also tweeted that Joe Biden, the networks covering his speech, it was going to lead them to fail, and then China would be happy because the networks would fail in their ratings because they covered Joe Biden's speeches. So he's just going after
ahead,
everybody.
So Mayor Whaley also had this to say, quote, I think the victims and the first responders were grateful that the president of the United States came to Dayton. So, I mean, they were, I guess, saying nice things, but he didn't see it that way, and he was definitely fired up. So at the time of this recording, President Trump was on his way, probably landing in El Paso, where city officials are calling on him to condemn white supremacy and violence during his visit. El Paso City Council woman Claudia Ordaz Perez said the El Paso attack was, quote, the worst terrorist attack in U.S. history against Hispanics. And if President Trump does not call for an end to the violence, it would put communities at, quote, greater risk for racially motivated attacks. And I think he should condemn violence and white supremacy. I think that's,
Yeah, didn't he do that in a speech over the
he
weekend
certainly
as well?
did. And
Yeah.
He also threw in, maybe we'll package a gun control reform with my border bill.
Yeah, he seemed to give up on that like immediately. But yes, that was his initial reaction, which was hilarious.
I do love my guns, but I don't really like Mexicans.
Like my wall even better than my guns. So if you could give me more wall, then I wouldn't need as many guns. So.
I'm a little torn. However, not everyone shares the views of politicians like Beto O'Rourke, who told the president to stay away, and whom many are criticizing for politicizing the shootings for their own agendas. This is reported by Fox News, so take it as you will. Raul Melendez, an El Paso resident whose father-in-law, David, was killed in Saturday's shootings, had this to say, it shows that he actually cares if he talks to individual families. That person had the intent to hurt people. He already had it. No one's words would have triggered that. So, I don't know. Debatable.
Debatable. I don't think that anything Trump said directly, like, you can't boil it down to that.
No.
You can't,
Well,
boil
you
it down to,
can't
like,
blame
this one
Trump
guy.
for... Yeah, you can't blame Trump
the guy
for mass
is
shootings.
already
Period.
mentally ill.
You can't. They were
I think if
happening
you
way
were
before.
able to commit a mass shooting, you were mentally ill way before.
Absolutely.
But those guys
absolutely.
also have
And we
triggers.
had a mass shooting problem the entire Obama presidency too. So it's not that it's a new thing. It's just escalating, and we need to do something about it.
What's new is it being a racially motivated mass shooting against Hispanics. That's what's
Sure, yeah, these recent ones, there's been more white supremacist guys than in the past, but I mean, there's been more and more mass shootings just as we've gone on in the last several years.
He obviously did the right thing. There was some criticism, but, in some of the tweets and the pictures I saw from the hospitals, people did look like they were glad to see him, and they were comforted by him. So even if they, I don't think that anyone who was mourning 4 days later was going to be too concerned that Trump was there. I think they're more concerned about, comforting their family members and getting through this tragedy. But people that were still, recovering in the hospitals seemed to be definitely comforted by him being there. So I don't know.
No. Well, yeah, let's not forget the reason that the big thing was the rally 3 months ago where Trump said, what are we going to do about these immigrants? Someone yelled from the crowd, shoot them, and Trump laughed and then said,
yeah, not a great reaction.
Not a good look. That's why people are pissed, because
too well.
He encourages that
with
shit.
Microphones and phones. So
Right, yeah, he's definitely like he's just gonna always play the hot hand, and he views these things as things that rile up his base, and that's not great. That's bad for bad for division in the country.
Going to the internet, Prince Das Adalike says Beto isn't wrong, and I'm not even a big fan of his. Trump inspired the El Paso shooting. There's no question about it. His manifesto directly quotes Trump. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So Prince,
that side.
yeah. I mean, again, you can't. Inspired is a decent word to use, but blame, you can't use that, in my opinion.
Yeah, the problem is we have a guy, the things that the president is saying, and then you have these people taking actions. They just doesn't look good. It's just not good.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is why Trump needs to say the fuck off Twitter and just make it about like, hey man, this sucks. Let's bring America together. Not calling out candidates debate. Candidates percentages of the vote that they're getting. It's like, it's not a battle, man.
They just need to be a government and come together and fix the issue.
You shouldn't be saying
if they can, if they're
anything
capable of that.
That might validate an action in some crazy person's head. I mean, that's just it gets dangerous. So another comment, Bruce Carp says O'Rourke is an asshole, pandering to his 1% base. He is the one that started this by immediately blaming Trump. The president has no responsibility for this. Do you blame Warren for the attack in Ohio? I guess he's referring to the fact that people are saying that the attacker was an Antifa.
Oh, yeah, because that guy was left,
so.
leaned left, yeah.
I think that's a direct response to Trump's tweet to Beto last night. or 2 nights ago, which is where he said that he called out Beto's 1% and told Beto that he should shut his mouth and respect the victims and law.
I think everyone should just shut their mouth for a little while.
Probably.
Yeah, I agree with Wes. Just how about we all just shut the fuck up and mourn those who are lost and try to fix it.
All right, that's it. Thank God.
Now we're through that.
Let's take it over to the news buffet. Woo! First up, Vermont Senator and Democratic presidential hopeful Bernie Sanders went on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and among other things, he said that he would publicly announce if the government knows of alien life existing.
That's a bad idea,
hell yeah.
Bernie.
Hell yeah.
Right. I like that debate because I think it's I think people would react badly.
Did you guys know that Hillary was actually on that tip too? Like Tom DeLonge from Blink-182 communicated with Hillary's campaign many times and got more or less like an
right.
okay.
And she was definitely telling the truth about that, I am sure.
Yeah, probably.
Anyways, that's great news that Bernie would tell us if alien life existed, I guess, but not really a core issue for most voters. And it was an interesting interview with Joe Rogan. I listened to most of it, but mostly interesting because Bernie was just very chill in the studio. Like you're used to seeing Bernie just screaming and going nuts, flailing his arms on the debate stage. But he was just like chilling out, telling Joe Rogan about his policy. But in terms of policy, nothing new. Same old Bernie.
They got AC in that studio. That's probably why he was so chill.
I wonder what that's like.
Yeah. He's just,
It's probably pretty nice.
Oh, yeah. Should we get a thermometer for the garage?
We're getting a thermometer for the garage because a lot of people are watching our videos and saying, "Are you guys doing blow in the garage?" We're not.
Nope.
It's just really hot in here.
Sometimes you wear non-breathable cotton by accident and you just forget.
Summer in Texas.
Wes,
you're wearing red. I feel like red's a good color to sweat in. It doesn't really show that,
God damn it. All right, guys, Puerto Rico is still in turmoil as their Supreme Court invalidated Governor Pedro Pierluisi's appointment. Yeah, Pedro was the former resident commissioner and held the office of governor for a whopping 5 days. No more. Yeah, apparently Pedro was sworn in without the consent of the territory Senate. Uh-oh. Yeah, this after Puerto Rico's least favorite resident and Ricky Martin hater, former Governor Ricardo Ricciello, was booted after his group text with his cronies got leaked, which is a good thing after reading the group text. But let's be honest, anyone who gets their group text leak is probably going down.
Yeah. Was this guy on the group text?
He wasn't on the group text.
He was not. Oh, wow. And he still got.
Didn't even get the shit in every bathroom.
Yeah. He probably did some cool stuff. Who knows? But
he definitely you had sex.
Hopefully,
in the
I
governor
hope that he
mansion.
banged at least in the governor's mansion.
Definitely 5 days. 5 days for sure. Also, you were governor for 5 days on your Wikipedia entry, which is kind of hilarious.
That's true. That goes back to my bench warmer theory. It's like I would love to be a long snapper that never plays because like I was in the NFL.
Well, there's no backup long snapper.
Okay, I would love to be like a defensive endman, that never plays.
the old defensive endman?
Yeah, the endman, man. I watched Hard Knocks on that. I'm way into it. I want to be Rudy. I want to never
you're on
play.
The books.
I want to get that league minimum, and I want to tell the ladies I'm in the NFL. Anyway, so
just be that backup defensive endman.
No, the endman, man. I'll be the endman all day. Next in line is Secretary of Justice Wanda Vasquez Garced, but she said last week she's not interested in being the governor, but wouldn't bail if the duty fell in her lap. So if it comes down to it, she'll do it. So it's a shit show over there. But imagine how bummed Pedro is, right? Like, come on, man, that sucks. But again,
I bet he's kind of like grateful. I mean, I think he's
relieved a little bit. Yeah. He goes
yeah,
straight to the
you
bar
wouldn't
with that
want to be
story.
going into that right now. Yeah, he gets to chill a little bit. All right, let's take it over to Georgia. I'm pretty sure, pretty positive this was in Georgia. Waffle House chairman Joe Rogers Jr. immediately settled on Wednesday as soon as a trial began in a civil suit with his former housekeeper, that's M-Y-E, Brindle. That's the name of his housekeeper.
Let me guess what happened. They banged.
What? Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Big time banging. They didn't even conclude the entire opening statements. Brindle had several video and audio recordings, one video, several audio recordings that she was going to release as part of the trial of her and Rogers banging in the house. And she claimed that she feared she would have lost her job if she hadn't fucked him. And then she's been holding these tapes since 2012 that she did to document this. So the Rogers family contends that this is essentially blackmail, well, which may be so. She's been holding the tape since 2012, but also maybe don't fuck the maid on camera. So
Yeah, I got a theory here. So I think that if you're rich and powerful before you have sex, it's well within the bounds. I know it's not sexy, but it's well within the bounds to say, hey, are you recording me? It's kind of like putting on a condom. You know, it's like you don't want to do it, but you should.
Yeah. You think Balzerian doesn't have some kind of fucking release he has those girls sign?
Right, or some sort of like detector for bugs on the ladies. But like it's kind of like how Brett Ratner, before he would bang any chick, he would send them to the doctor to get STD tested. Like that's what powerful people do. Get with the program.
I'm sure there was
here.
some signatures involved in that process.
Absolutely.
I don't get. I mean,
yeah. I mean that would make sense, but you know, I'm sure most people don't
I've
think
never
about
had
that
like
stuff in advance.
like a live-in maid roaming around, but apparently it's like a shallow house syndrome where they just, like, I guess they just get hotter by the day. Because look at Schwarzenegger.
Well, it's Costanza. It's Costanza from
Schwarzenegger,
Seinfeld.
You know, he banged that pretty ugly maid. I mean,
well, it's access. It's like it's Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger has a kid to show for it, though, not tapes.
Yeah.
So
You could go out and bang anyone if you're Schwarzenegger, but at the same point, you know, people are going to talk. She's in your house.
I guess so.
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Anyway, guys.
Anyways, Waffle House has got to be very upset with this dude.
I don't think they're mad, man. It's Waffle House.
Are you kidding?
They don't give a shit. It's fucking Waffle House. Waffle House is the same company that will, if you work there for 5 years, they'll fix your teeth for free. That's a policy.
I was amazed.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe Waffle House is cool with it.
Waffle House, they yell out orders to like the cooks, and I have no fucking idea how they keep track of it. There's no tickets. They just yell like eggs and two, French toast and one, and they just the waitresses just yell this shit out. I have no idea how they keep track of
It's
this.
a strictly
shit.
screaming
It's a
system.
I have no idea how anyone gets their food right.
And guys, that's why you should support the sponsors on Hard Factor and go to Predict It, because if Hard Factor West gets out of a job,
I will
he
not
can't even work at Waffle House.
Nothing would get right.
All right, guys. So Disney announced yesterday that they will be doing a little grave robbing and will be rebooting and ultimately ruining the Christmas classic film Home Alone. In a conference call with investors, Disney CEO Bob Iger said that they would, quote, be reimagining the classic for their streaming service. No word on who will be in the film or what they'll be doing with it, but it will most likely be killing the last part of my spirit that exists from my childhood. Yeah. I'm not sure why they're just not remaking it. I mean, Macaulay, Pesci, and Stern are all still alive. Just checking with them 30 years later. Maybe Harry and Marv are probably just getting out of jail and finally giving into their sexual tension. Kevin is kicking a drug habit that he developed from years of neglect.
Is Kevin the dad or the kid?
Kevin McAllister, bro. And then Buzz
Who's
is running...
the dad?
The dad? I don't remember. But Buzz is probably running a brothel in New Mexico. The movie writes itself. They need to remake this, not reimagine it.
What was the name of the kid that peed the bed all the time?
Fuller. Yeah, he was.
I wonder how Fuller turned out. I'd like to see that.
He's probably
I bet
fat.
he's
He
an
kept drinking
accountant.
all those Pepsis. Probably.
No offense, you're an accountant.
All right. Wait, Wes, you got something on the Disney remake?
I saw the Lion King remake, and it fucking sucked. It was awful.
Yeah, get off
come
the
up with some
remake
new
shit.
Disney.
Make some
I'm
new
saying,
shit.
just 30 years later, Home Alone. It would crush at the box office. I would go.
There's more people out there doing shit than ever. Let's make some new shit. Okay. A 12th century Viking drinking hall belonging to a Viking chieftain named Earl Sigurd has been discovered on an island off the coast of Scotland. So,
Wow.
I mean, for me, that's like a great headline for me. I just like think of like Vikings pounding beers. Like that sounds fun. Basically a 50-foot structure that housed a giant bar where Vikings would come and get hammered all the time was discovered. It was made of stacked stone and probably had an amazing fireplace. And it got me to thinking that we should probably open a Viking drinking hall bar somewhere.
Or
in the
go to
future.
Scotland. Was it intact or no?
No. Just the foundation, but they could tell what it was based on the foundation.
And all
like
the
you could
dead
tell what
bodies.
the structure was. So.
From
Oh yeah, surrounding it. Oh my
Drinking-
God!
Yeah, okay.
Imagine the fights.
Yeah, you do not roll up on a Viking drinking house. You don't do that.
Whoa.
Not without permission.
No, every night you're going to get hammered.
Yeah,
you
you
got to
gotta
be
be
ready
ready
to die.
Yeah, well,
You're just
Yeah,
to
it's
have fun.
it's like going to the bar in Philadelphia. But like my thing is like, why don't they reimagine this? Reimagine this thing. Reimagine the Viking fucking drinking house, not fucking Home Alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, and finally, Fox News host Tucker Carlson dropped a major takequake on Tuesday night, setting the record straight on white supremacy. You guys ready? He said, white supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax, just like the Russia hoax. It's a conspiracy theory used to divide the country and keep a hold on power. So Tucker doesn't believe white supremacy is a problem. Tucker, my guy.
Or that Russia meddling in elections is a problem.
Also
either,
a hoax.
apparently.
Yeah. What are you doing, Tucker? You're a journalist. You know that some piece of shit loser just shot up a Walmart in El Paso specifically to kill Mexicans. 22 people are dead, Tucker. The dude put out a racist manifesto,
Not
Tucker.
manifesto. The ram.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Right, we don't say.
Yeah,
Ramblings
no,
of a
yeah.
piece of
The collection,
Okay, the
rambling,
dude put out
yeah,
a racist ramblings
collections
of a piece of
papers of an idiot.
Yeah. My point, what the fuck is he saying? Like, even if he believed that, well, if he did believe that, he shouldn't be on a major television network. But even if he did believe it, now's not the time to say it, Tucker. Is he doing it for ratings? Like, he followed up by saying, quote, it's actually not a real problem in America. The combined membership of every white supremacist organization in this country would be able to fit inside a college football stadium. Tucker, my man, we waged a 20-year war that we are still in against a terrorist organization that if we put in a college football stadium, it would look like SMU was playing Southern Mississippi. And we lost the lives of 7,000 American servicemen, if not more, while doing it. Tucker, fuck you, man.
Also, oh shit. I think Tucker was probably trying to do this thing where like because the other one shooter was like liberal, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like he's like, well, it's not just
He definitely
white
offended
supremacy.
some white supremacists out there.
Oh my God, the white supremacists were mad, saying we don't exist. We'll show you we exist, Tucker. Yeah, and that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That Tucker, that's a little
thing
weird.
to
That's
say.
a weird take to have this week.
Stupid thing to say. That's going to do it for Hard Factor, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, if you got a chance, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at Hard Factor News. Also, again, this show is still growing. We are really, really impressed with our growth. We've almost doubled our audience since we started. We want to keep that going. So tell a friend about Hard Factor, and if you have time, go on iTunes and give us a review and a 5-star rating if you dig the show. If you don't, fuck off. I'm kidding. We'll listen to you. But 5 stars is better than none. Yeah. Oh, and have a great fucking day.